keep me going all day, yeah. Somebody gotta do it. Somebody gotta do it.
Welcome to another episode of SGDITALKS. My name is Yusuf Jai. I'm your host, and today we have three amazing ladies here on the panelists. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves first, and then we're gonna introduce the topic, and then we're gonna dive right in.
Hi, my name is Isa Taba. I've been married for 2 years, and I am currently a student at the University of Delaware with a major of health behavior science and a minor in physical activity, health, and disability.
Hi everyone, my name is Fatima. I'm originally from New York City. Currently I work a full-time job and run 2 businesses.
Nice.
Hi everyone, my name is Salwa Sharif. I'm from Philadelphia as well, and I'm just currently focusing on being a new mom.
I love it. First and foremost, I want to thank you ladies for taking your time and coming out to speak on this topic. We're going to be talking about the woman marriage segment. Last season we had the brothers come on and they was talking about this, so this was requested because a lot of sisters want to see women who's married and experience shed light on this topic. And we all know we're, as Muslims, getting married is completing half of your deen. So there's a lot of people looking to embark on this journey. So my first question for you ladies is, how old were you when you got married, and do you feel as though you was ready to be married?
Well, I was 20 years old when I got married.
Okay.
Yeah, 20. And yes, I was ready because I'm still married and I plan to be married till I die. So, yeah, I was ready.
Okay.
For me, I actually got married this year, so
Wow.
26. I would say I was definitely ready. Prior to this, I turned down 5 marriage proposals because I wasn't ready at that time, but now I definitely feel like I am.
Okay.
Well, as for me, my first marriage, I was 23.
Yeah.
Clearly I wasn't ready. Well, I wouldn't say that. But, and I just recently got married again, 29.
Congrats. Okay. So the fact that y'all all said y'all was ready, did that means because y'all found the right person? Because I know that plays a role.
Yeah, I feel like being ready. Okay, let's actually take it back.
Yeah.
You know what? You're never completely ready for marriage.
Okay.
You know,
Now we're
you
talking.
go into marriage. It's like you know this person and you know yourself a little bit, because you know, like, you always grow. You're constantly growing. Once you become married, y'all become one, but still y'all still grow separately.
Right.
So it's like, you know, you got to learn this person's, like, okay, they're into this new activity. You got to learn this new activity that they're into. You're into a new point in your life or whatever. You're starting a business. You're doing this.
Right.
You become a different person, and it kind of like, it changes you and it changes your marriage in a sense, because now you all have to adapt to different things. You all have to adapt to the new person that person is becoming, you know. And it's just, marriage is just constantly, you're constantly changing. And it's constantly just like, it's a learning process and a growth process. So it's like, you're never ready for everything in life, you know, just as though you're never going to be ready for something that they're going to happen to you in like 10 years. Like in 10 years, your marriage may be different, you know, so you're not going to be ready for that 10-year process when you're first year into your marriage, you know, so it's going to be different, you know.
Yeah, to just piggyback on what Aisha was saying, you know, in life you're never really ready for anything.
Yeah.
And so just for the younger generation, like especially today's youth, to put in a perspective that they can understand, marriage is almost like school. You know, you do kindergarten, but you don't know what to expect in first grade, second grade. But it's things that are already set in stone. Right. And it's just a matter of the two people coming together to connect the dots.
That's a perfect comparison.
Like you got your teachers.
I like that.
Yeah, you have the teachers who could be your parents that have experience from both sides, and immediate family members that both of you guys trust. The hiccups that's going to come, people are going to, you know, these people are going to be there to help weather those storms. So, you know, when you pass 4th grade, you know, you're going to 5th grade. Sometimes you got to repeat 4th grade, and that happens in a marriage.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So,
okay, I like that.
It's almost like that's the only way I can find to explain to this generation. Of course, older people with
to put in like perspective for them.
That's how it works. So, the more work you put into it, the better outcome that you get, the better results. But you're never really ready.
It's like
until you really
learning
get there.
process.
Until you in there. Exactly. You in there, you stuck, that's it. You figure out how to get, like, you in the mud, now you gotta figure out how to get out of it. Like, simple as that.
Team, you had anything to add to that?
Listen, they covered this.
Yeah.
It was like on point.
Okay.
I definitely agree.
You know, that makes me think too, as far as like, I always hear people say like, when you get married, I think you don't know somebody until you live with them. Does that make sense? So let's talk about that. Like, how was it like adjusting to marriage compared to your prior life? Because I want to know, is that statement, how true is that statement? You don't know somebody until you live with them.
It's very accurate because I knew my husband since I was 15.
Yeah.
Like this friendship.
Wow. Yeah.
And when we got married, not that it was a bad thing, but it was just like
this is
okay, this is a different Idris, and I'm sure he said the same thing, or this is a different Salwa. And then my thing was this term called dialakafo, like basically adapting or adjusting to each other's behavior. That's one of the hardest part in marriage.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for some people, it can be the first year. Or some people 5 years later into it, you know. But that phase is something that is real. That like you never really know someone until you live with them, because you're waking up to this person. You know. First thing you didn't brush your teeth, you see this person, or you see how clean. You know, when you all was friends, he come outside, he fresh.
Yeah.
You go find out real different. You know what I mean? Things like that, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Whenever y'all went on a date or when y'all had a gathering, she was fly. Then you come in the house, she found out she don't wash dishes for like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
All of those things,
Wow.
or you know, other important factors that play in part, but that Allah will not expose that until y'all get into the marriage, and that's what makes marriage what it is.
Wow.
And that's why the reward is so great, because then there's patience come in. You know, you got to learn like, okay, this person is a complete stranger, but you have to have mercy. You know, you have to have mercy on the person. Okay, they're not good at this as me, so you have to like sift them to get better. And just like any other thing that you're not good at as they are, they have to. You know, that's how marriage is more on the merciful side than love. And the youth of today need to understand that. Yeah, you know, love is going to be there. You got to love the person. But I'm telling you, when you get into it, that dry out for a while. And it just becomes solely like, I'm in this for the sake of Allah. And when that intention is placed, Allah starts to make it smooth.
Wow.
It has nothing to do with, how you love him, how all that.
Yeah.
You want to cut their head off.
Yeah.
You know, love that. You know, you gotta learn, because it's like you're coming from an environment where you're in your parents' house.
Yes.
You don't get more comfortable than in your parents' house, you know?
Yeah.
So you've been there all your life, maybe 20 years, maybe 25, 29, 30, 35 years, you know? So you coming in from someone who's coming from their parents' house, and y'all coming together, and you taking what you learned at your parents' house and what they learned at their parents' house and mushing it into one room. You know what I mean? So it's like, dang, like that's how you brush your teeth, like that's how you wash the dishes, like that's how you know, just little things, like that's how you put your towel down, like you know, little things you wouldn't think about it, you know, you wouldn't think about it before it happens, but then you marry, you be like, oh, so this is what they meant. Like you really don't know somebody till y'all married. So I totally, that's the truest, most true statement that someone can make. 100%. Like when you know, before you get married, you be like, oh nah, you know, we talked for like 10 years, we talked for like 4 years, I know him like a back of my hand. Nah, like you don't know who he is. Like it's not like it's a bad thing either. Yeah. It's just learning how to be with that person when they're in their most comfortable state, you know. So that's the most important thing, because you at the end of the day, like you in this person's personal bubble all the time, you know. You're always together. You wake up, like she said, y'all wake up together, y'all go to sleep together, y'all eat together, y'all do everything together, you know. So it's just a matter of being patient, being merciful, because at the end of the day, it's not going to be no love if that's not there. You know, that's the foundation of love, you know what I mean? So,
Wow.
I know for me personally, something that my husband and I spoke about, and it's kind of like a mindset where marriage is an agreement, you know, whether you love the person or whatever the situation is, it's an agreement. And something that we spoke about before is I'm a people's person, you know, so is he, but sometimes I like my space, you know, I just want to remove myself and, you know, go into my space. So we have those conversations of what does that look like for me, you know, because when you live with someone and you're married to someone, it's kind of hard to, it's like, what do you mean you need your space? You know, some people may take offense to that. So for me, it was definitely like having those tough conversations. I'll say, you know, it's like, listen, sometimes I need my space. And for me to also be open to him when he's like, okay, I need my space as well. You know, even when you think about growing up with your siblings, like you both grew up in the same household, but you have different behavior, different characteristics.
Yeah.
So
That's a good way to put it. Yeah,
you know, so you have to be understanding of someone that you love so deeply and know that this is an agreement, you know, and we have to meet each other in the middle and compromise, not compromising your core values, because I think that's different. I would never compromise my core values, but certain things I do think you need to compromise to meet the person halfway and to know that you're not perfect, they're not perfect, but you guys are going to come together. So that's what I would say to that.
That's definitely something very important because, especially that space part, because people think, you say space, people think we're not boyfriend, girlfriend, what I gotta give you space for.
Right.
And that's not the case. Like, at the end of the day, you need space from your mother. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're gonna need space from your mother, you're gonna need space from your husband. You're gonna need space from your wife. So that space can be him playing his FIFA or PlayStation or whatever it is, and you just on your phone on Instagram. That simple, little things like that can be space. Or like, y'all just being in separate rooms. Like, just because y'all married don't mean y'all gotta be up under each other, like, you know, all connected all the time. Like, that's the fake reality of marriage. Like, you thinking you're gonna be, you know, cuddling all the time, shit, going on dates. Like, no, like, you just gotta, it's gonna be times, like, you know, you're gonna be in that, I guess, I don't like to use the term honeymoon phase, but we'll just say honeymoon phase. And it's gonna be times where, you know, you in the bedroom all day watching your movies, binge watching Netflix, and he's just in the other room playing FIFA, and then y'all come together later on and just, you know, talk about, you know, oh, this is what happened on FIFA today, or I saw this on Instagram, you know, little things like that. And that's like, for me, that was the hardest thing to understand, like, understand that you gotta give someone space. Just because y'all married doesn't mean y'all always gotta be together, and y'all gotta learn how to give each other space and what the boundaries are, because there's still boundaries within marriage, you know. So that's something that I think is like number one. Even like after an argument, like people think you're supposed to just talk about it right after argument. Sometimes no, like y'all have that argument, y'all cuss each other out, however y'all argue, and y'all go away from each other. Y'all not like go out the house or something like that, but y'all just give each other space. You know, you go do your thing, he go do his thing. Y'all come back together, you have the conversation, and y'all cool. You know, like sometimes I feel like problems don't get solved right after an argument. You know, it has to be, that space has to be there before you solve the actual root of the problem. So
To add on to what Aisha and Fatima said, to make two points, the seclusion part. You know, I cannot emphasize enough to today's youth about Muslim particularly. Y'all have to learn the deen and learn the people that was around the Prophet, meaning the women around the Prophet and the men. These, like, their lifestyle will help us tremendously. You know what I mean? Because when the Prophet Muhammad was married to Khadija, he always took time to himself. He always took like 2, 3, 4 hours at a time to go, you know, somewhere else, you know, just to go worship Allah, to just think outside of his head. You know what I mean? And it don't matter. Whenever he came back, she was always there to receive him. You know, under all conditions. And so that, you know, and this is the thing, this is my personal problem with social media. It have really brainwashed the generation.
Tell me about it.
Like everything is hashtag goals. Hashtag marriage, you know. It's like, subhanAllah, this is not reality. Like they really need to understand, like, we're living in a world where everything that's anti-Islam, we have to fight against it, number one. And you know, then you fight against yourself. You know what I mean? So it's like, with the social media world, when people see somebody get married, and then when they see like the vacation, even when people on vacation, you don't even know if they're fighting behind the scene, but they will take that one picture and post it up.
Oh, mashallah.
You know what I mean? Wait to be like that. So like the reality really have to, like, I really want young girls and young men too to really understand, like, this is a real deal. This is like, this is your Jannah. This is this coming together really determine whether you're going to go to paradise or not. Like, that's how serious it is. So, you know, these are things like, while they're young now, since they want to know so much, start learning about people around the Prophet. It's how was the women, what did they do, how did they did it, you know what I mean? And, you know, space is very important. My husband, he's subhanAllah, you know, he's one of those people who he's more like isolated because he's the only child from his mom, and where I come from a big family, and I'm such a compassionate, you know. So that was one of our biggest challenges. So when we had our talk, I told him, I said, okay, you know, just check in. You know, I talked to him because he's seen that, like, I'm just like, clinging or whatever the case might be. But I also know how to be by myself as well. But I'm more on the side of like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. So what he do is when he know he's gonna be out, he check in between this a lot, or he call, he text, or he come home in between. So now because I know that's how he is as a person, that's our way of compromising, and it works. Now it's like we don't even have to argue about that anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And also, what was the other point about? I can't recall.
What was it? How am I going to ask you what it was? Like,
but moving forward.
Yeah.
I can't record the question.
But that was well put, well said. And I do think that, like you said, social media can be an illusion. And I feel like, there's a lot of, I just think even marriage can be pressure too. You're seeing your friends get married, you're seeing sisters get married. So it just makes you sometimes you feel like, something is wrong with you.
Yeah.
Or like so much stuff that goes in your head. And I know,
missing out.
and I do believe, a lot of these sisters mature faster too
yeah.
than men. So that can be hard too for like trying to see your market. And I would not say settle, but I don't know what y'all think about this word acceptance. Because I think a lot of females a lot of sisters wouldn't mind potential. You ever like want to give somebody a chance based off potential, not really like actions. So do you think you can change somebody in a marriage?
You not use the word change is
It's
not
like it's too strong.
Yeah.
It don't fit.
Or can somebody change?
Can somebody
Or do you like you
They
gotta
can
look at
grow,
them and accept them for who they
You
are?
can
No,
grow.
this is who
You can
grow
grow,
into
but
a
to say
different
change,
person.
because nobody can really change a person unless the person wants to change themselves.
Yeah.
So depending on, again, everything for me personally in my life is based on Islam. That's all I know.
Right,
Born
right.
Muslim, raised Muslim. So everything is from that perspective.
Yeah.
So, and as a Muslim, one of the first things we're taught is always to have good thoughts of each other. You know what I mean? No matter what. So I can't come be like, oh, because I do this, so that makes me better than this person. This particular person don't. And that's that's what I was going to piggyback on. The fact that marriage, people think it's just so much about the other person, but the reality is marriage is you get to see who you really are.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's like a marriage.
You learn a lot
You know what
about
I mean?
yourself.
So okay,
Wow.
I'm married to me. You still get married, saying you know what I mean, and he's somebody that's say hypothetically he's into this, he's into other things that I'm not into. It's natural for a person that don't do certain things that a person do, say smoke, drink, to point a finger.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But then what makes you good or what bring about that change is how you deal with the person when you're going through that.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So it's like, as a wife, if you have a husband who he struggled with salat, when y'all met, he appeared to you as if he prayed.
Yeah.
But now that you're in a marriage, but that's your test from Allah.
Wow.
Because you were strong in that suit, Allah made you to put you in that position to help that person get better.
So
you
that's
know what I
a good
mean?
one. Yeah.
So that's if we're gonna refer to that as change.
So that's why I see the growth aspect you need.
It takes time.
Yeah,
It takes time. It takes time.
Patience.
When the Prophet went to the Quraysh, he spent 13 years teaching them basic mannerism and characteristics.
Wow.
13 years. Grown men that were older than him. You know what I mean? So everything in life takes time.
Wow.
For me, I would definitely say my husband and I, we have this thing like where we check in with each other, and it goes back to the previous question of growing apart and coming together. Some things that I never thought were an issue just because that's how I was raised, I realized those were an issue for him. For instance, when I'm in an argument with someone and I feel that my voice is not being heard, I tend to yell. And my husband, he's so calm, like he hates yelling. So that was something that he pointed out to me before, and I never thought it was a problem because my parents yelled at me, like my siblings and I, we yelled at each other. So for me, I was just like,
It's what you
this is not a big deal.
Your upbringing.
Yes, and then he pointed out to me that that's not something that he appreciates, or this is not a behavior that I would want to carry out when we have children. Because I don't want someone to yell at my kids, because that's not the way that I was raised. And for me, we have these check-ins where sometimes I'll randomly just ask him like, oh, like we didn't agree to this, and I didn't yell, like how am I doing? Or I've pointed out certain things to him, and like reassuring someone, like I see the effort that you're putting in. A lot of times with marriage or with any relationship, you expect the person to just change. Like, I told you I don't like this, so you expect them to drop it.
Just
And
overnight,
yeah, and that's not the case when this is something that the person has been doing for 10 plus years.
Wow, yeah.
You know, so we have those check-ins with each other. Or, you know, if he sees something during like a conversation, or he'll pick up a story from one of the prophets, or, you know, from one of the wives, and just like, you know, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, sometimes we'll have those conversations you know, and I was raised in America. My husband was raised back home. So
that's a different cultural
it's,
shock right
it's
there.
so different. Although, you know, we're both Malian, it's just completely different because
social norms, everything.
yes, you know, where sometimes like if someone who's my elder, if they do something to me, my natural reaction is, I'm gonna let you know what you did was not okay, you know, and this is how I feel. Whereas he's very much respect your elder.
That's disrespectful.
You know, yeah. So for me, I'm like, there needs to be a balance where, yes, you're my elder, but I also deserve respect from you. That's not right. And I think he has grown in that sense where you just don't let people speak to you or do whatever, you know, because they're your elder. So we have those check-ins with each other, like, you know, regularly, and, you know, things like that. So.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely based off of like what you said, like a person can't grow overnight. Like me, that was another issue with me, because I'm always like a perfectionist type of thing. So I'm like, I told you this, now you do it right now. Like, you know, like, I'm sorry, like it sounds so bad, but it's just like, I told you this, so do it right now, you know? But it's like, it won't work like that, you know? So I had to reevaluate myself when I noticed like there was an issue with that. Like, I'm like, okay, so I just told you, like, I don't like when this is right here or this is right here. Why'd you do it again? You know? But it's like, this person has been doing this for 20 plus years right there. How is he? I would look at it into my perspective, like, if someone told me I cannot wear, like, I can't wear my earring on my right ear, that doesn't mean tomorrow when I wake up I'm not gonna put it on my right ear, because it's not, I'm not gonna get adapted to it that quickly, you know. So that was something that I had to learn and reevaluate my own self and learn about myself. Like, you know, this is toxic. Like, that's negative. You can't expect someone to just grow and change just like at a blink of an eye, you know. So it goes back to saying like how you grow as a person and you learn more about yourself once you're married, even more than you learn about the other person.
Wow.
You know,
it's about yourself.
Yeah.
And to piggyback on what Aisha just said, this is a little minor advice. When you're married as a woman, to the young girls, it's important to know, like, you don't speak on everything. And it don't mean you're suppressing it, but it's not every little thing that your husband do. Like, oh, but you did this. Oh, but you did that. Oh, but you did, you know what I mean?
It's like, not that deep.
In my household, I'm a neat freak. I like everything to be a certain way. But my husband is learning to grow with me in that pace. So there's certain things he don't do, and he'll just see me, and I like this. I fix, like, I fold the shirt a certain way and put it in the drawer. I don't like, you know, like, I put everything chronological order, things like that. And he's trying, he's trying with me. So when he do certain things, I just won't say anything. You know what I mean? Because then that's one less argument you'll have to have over something that petty. You know, and men really don't like nag. They don't like nag. So, you know,
you don't like that. That's true.
They're dealing with a lot.
They're
dealing with a lot in the outside world, working where they come home. That's their sanctuary, that's their peace. That's not the, you know, oh, but you were supposed to, no, calm down, it's okay, take a breathe. You know, take a deep breath, it's gonna be okay, he'll get to it, you know what I mean? Or you can politely remind him, or politely say something, but everything not, and it's not always easy either. Let me let that be known, to be 100%. You know, but don't just mention everything you do wrong. Sometimes encourage him. Men are so simple-minded.
Seriously. Sometimes it's women that make it more difficult.
We already know. We really run the show. Like, I really want people to know we are the one that really run the show.
Like,
you know, but you just have to make him feel like he's the captain. You know, just make
That's
him
so true.
men are so simple. Like, my husband do some stuff sometimes, I just be like, SubhanAllah.
Like, simple
But,
things.
you know, I'm gonna let you agree. I'm gonna let you feel like this is what you do.
That's like that.
Yeah, and it's real, like, especially with what you said, because I'm a big germaphobe. All that, like, the shoes gotta be, when you come into the house, you gotta put the shoes off and you gotta put them in this little corner right here. When you come in, even prior to COVID and all this stuff, when you come in, wash your hands, you go take a napkin, put some alcohol on the napkin, wipe down your phone, wipe down the keys, wipe down all
and
that
that's
stuff.
too much for a man.
And it's just
so if he forget one day, or if he don't do that in that order, it's okay. It's not, you know, it's like, okay, just go wash your hands real quick, let's or just go, you know, or sometimes even you, for saving sake, just
do it yourself.
Just be like, oh, here go napkin, you can wipe your hand, just making it easier.
And people think like you're like being suppressed when you do that. Like, oh, I'm not gonna do nothing for a man. I'm not gonna do this. Y'all married, sis. It's not even that deep. You just wiping down
It
until
goes back to the mindset.
exactly.
What I was saying,
and what you see on social media.
When you get married or you get married, you
What
just made a thing that's like a big thing in marriage that I get a lot of questions, or when people call me and ask me for advice, like, you know, oh, I didn't, you know, like that submissive thing.
Oh
like,
my God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the first time I got married, it was, you know, because my parents are divorced. So coming from that, you just like, I wish a man, you know, I wish he would do this to me. I wish I was in that mindset a lot. And when I got tested, because I was in that mindset, that's the result that I produced. But this time around, when I got married, it was solely for the sake of Allah. So I find myself subconsciously when things are happening that would like trigger things. I'm at ease, and especially with the kind of person I'm dealing with. Because naturally, alhamdulillah, for me, my husband is a conscious person. Even though when he faults me and do things that, you know, that may not make me feel good, but he's somebody that's conscious. So to make the transition of the household easy, I just be calm. And then for him, when I do stuff like that, when he don't, like say if he expected me to do this or shower, do something, when I'm calmer, it makes him shame, and then he comes to me. You know, so that when it's like that type of intertwine, makes it easy to be submissive.
Well, when it's cool, the other fire.
When he's hot, I don't say nothing. When he's yelling, I'm calm. You know, it don't take away from me. It's not going to change my name. It's not going to change my skin. I just understand, like, and everything is temporary.
Exactly. That
you
is
know,
a big point.
it's temporary.
Everything
and
is
in the next few minutes, you're going to be cool again. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't want your partner to look at you like you're such a difficult person. So now, even when something happened, when he want to come to you, he's afraid because he don't
He
not
don't
trying
wanna
to go
hear
through
it.
all
He don't
that.
wanna
You
hear
know what I
it,
mean?
yeah.
And that's how all those other problems start to come
Start
into
to
your
come,
marriage.
yeah.
He
And
can't
then-
talk to you. He gonna find somebody else to go talk to, or
Exactly.
talk to his mom, and then relationships start to break. It's just a lot. Every emotion is connected to the next. You know what I mean?
And then it makes you like like what's the word? Oh my God!
Incompetent?
No, not incompetent. It's like in terms of confidence,
Like
insecurities.
insecure.
Yeah, they'll build insecurities because now you're nagging, you're doing all these things. So he's now breaking away from you, and he's doing different things that you never seen him do before, which is making you think like, oh, like, you know, he don't want me no more. Or
because
he don't love me no more.
want to
That's why I
come off
think
as being a bad
communication.
wolf.
That's why I think, like God mentioned, like communication
Communication
is key.
is number one,
And the
and
fact-
comprehension is also.
and the fact that y'all even mentioned stuff like check-ins. That's why I do think, you know, it's very important in the early stages to have certain conversations, so you don't have to revisit things that could have been said a year ago. Now it's like just all these stuff being thrown in each other's face.
Not why you why you just now saying it. It's
But
like
you know the funny thing about that too, I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day. You can do all those things. You can iron all those things out. If it's a part of your test, wallahi, it's going to repeat itself.
That's
It's
true.
going to happen. But the only good thing about it, y'all have already talked about it. So addressing it again, it might be a little different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
But definitely, ladies, I'm gonna lie, I appreciate y'all coming in. It's been a very insightful topic. There's been a lot of gems dropped, and I know, inshallah, a lot of sisters gonna take heed. And I would definitely want to add your Instagrams on, like, when the episodes air, we're gonna have your Instagrams up, because I definitely want people to reach out in case they want to seek advice. So I thank y'all once again. We gotta wrap up. Appreciate it. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you next episode. Thank y'all.
Thank you for watching SGDI Talks. If you like what you just watched, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more exclusive content and an opportunity to feature it on our upcoming episodes. Also, follow us on IG at SGDI Talks. See you next time.